My friends, so many people I meet are afraid of what is coming next. They spend nights awake wondering, will I succeed? Will I fail? Will tomorrow be worse than today? They keep worrying about a future that hasn't even arrived yet. But let me tell you something, worry will not change the future. Worry will only take away your energy, your focus, and your courage to act in the present moment. The truth is, nobody can predict exactly what will happen in the next 5 years. Even the smartest people, even the most powerful nations, none of them can see the future with certainty. So why should you waste your strength trying to control what you cannot control? Instead of worrying, prepare. Instead of doubting, learn. The best way to secure your future is to invest in your present. Think about this. If you plant a seed today, you don't need to sit all night worrying if it will grow tomorrow. You just water it, give it sunlight, and trust that it will grow in its own time. Life works the same way. Your efforts today, your patience today, your persistence today, these are the sunlight and water that will make your future strong. When I was younger, I made many mistakes. I failed in school, I failed in jobs, I failed in business ideas. If I had given up because I was afraid of the future, I would never have found opportunities that changed my life. The truth is, every failure was training. Every rejection was preparation. And every time I thought the future was dark, I discovered later that it was only teaching me how to become stronger. So if you're worried, I want you to remember this. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something you create. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the richest. You don't need to be the luckiest. What you need is courage. The courage to take one more step. The courage to learn one more skill. The courage to try one more time, even after you fail. Think about technology. Think about the speed of change. So many people are scared. Machines will take my job. The world is changing too fast. I cannot keep up. But the truth is, every big change in history has created new chances. When one door closes, another one opens. The real question is not what will happen. The real question is, am I ready to adapt when it happens? If you keep learning, if you keep improving, if you keep believing in yourself, then the future will never scare you. It will excite you. Do not compare your path to others. Someone may succeed faster, someone may earn more money, someone may seem luckier, but remember, life is not a race against them, it is a journey of your own. As long as you keep moving forward, step by step, you are building a future that belongs to you and no one else. I'll tell you one secret. Successful people are not those who never worry, but those who don't let worry stop them. They feel fear, but they move anyway. They feel uncertain, but they keep building. They feel tired, but they stand up again. And in the end, the people who create the future are not the ones who sit and wait, but the ones who act with faith, with persistence, with patience. So today I ask you, stop worrying, start preparing, stop fearing, start learning, stop doubting, start believing. The best years of your life are still ahead of you. Your future is not your enemy. It is your greatest partner. Treat it with courage, treat it with hope, and treat it with relentless action. Don't worry about the future. Build it. Worry never changes the future. Only action does. Fear drains energy while preparation and learning secure tomorrow. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Small, consistent steps today, like planting seeds, grow into tomorrow's opportunities. Failure and rejection are training, not the end. Every setback builds resilience and teaches the skills needed for success. Adaptability is more powerful than certainty. The world will always change. Those who learn and evolve will never be left behind. The future belongs to the courageous, not the worried. People who act with faith, persistence, and hope build the future they want. Worry never changes the future. Only action does, and this is a truth that so many people forget when they let fear take over their mind. Worry feels powerful in the moment because it gives you the illusion that you are preparing, the illusion that you are protecting yourself by thinking through every possible bad outcome. But in reality, worry steals energy without building anything in return. When you lie awake at night, replaying the same fears, imagining all the things that might go wrong, nothing in your tomorrow changes. the sun will still rise, challenges will still appear, and life will still move forward whether you are ready or not. What does change is you. You become more tired, more anxious, less confident, and less capable of meeting the day with strength. The real power is not in worry, it is in action, because action creates results while worry only creates doubt. Think about the people who achieve great things. They are not people who never feel worry or fear. They are people who refuse to let that fear paralyze them. They understand that life is unpredictable and that no amount of thinking about the worst case scenario will protect them from it. Instead, they use that energy to prepare, to learn, to take steps forward. Every successful story you admire comes from someone who chose to act when it would have been easier to sit back and complain or panic. Action is the antidote to worry, because the moment you start moving, the moment you start building, your fear loses its power. Imagine a person who wants to start a small business. They spend weeks worrying. What if it fails? What if nobody buys? What if I lose money? That worry might feel like caution, but it is actually avoidance because it produces no progress. On the other hand, imagine someone with the same fears but who still takes action. They research, they test, they talk to potential customers, they start small, maybe they fail the first time, but in the process they learn what works and what doesn't. That action, even if imperfect, brings them closer to success than endless worrying ever could. The future doesn't reward those who spend the most time being afraid. The future rewards those who dare to move despite being afraid. Worry can be compared to rocking in a chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere. You spend hours moving, but when you look around, you are in the exact same place. Action, however, is like walking. Even if you stumble, even if you fall, you are still making progress. Every step, no matter how small, carries you forward. That is why you must train yourself to recognize when worry is trying to trap you. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me act, or is it just keeping me stuck? The moment you identify useless worry, you must replace it with movement, even something small, because small steps are far more powerful than endless fear. The world we live in changes fast, and that speed can make anyone nervous. But nervousness is natural. The key is whether you turn that nervousness into worry or into action. If you are worried about losing your job, action means learning new skills, expanding your network, preparing for opportunities. If you are worried about your health, action means changing your habits, exercising, eating better. If you are worried about relationships, action means having honest conversations, showing kindness, making time. Every solution begins with a choice to act, never with a decision to worry. Many people think they need to wait for courage before acting, but the truth is courage comes after action, not before. The first step is always the hardest because you are stepping into the unknown. But once you move, once you see progress, once you realize that nothing is as terrifying as it seemed in your head, courage grows naturally, action builds momentum, and momentum destroys worry. The strongest people you admire are not fearless. They simply know that worry is wasted energy. They redirect that energy toward building, toward learning, toward creating. And as they act, their future becomes something they shape, not something they fear. This is the lesson you must take. Worry never changes the future, only action does. If you want tomorrow to be better, stop feeding your doubts and start feeding your efforts. The future is waiting for those who are ready to act. The best way to predict the future is to create it, and this is one of the most powerful truths you can carry with you in life. Too many people sit around waiting for someone else to tell them what will happen, waiting for luck, waiting for circumstances to change, waiting for opportunities to come knocking on their door. But waiting is not a strategy. The future is not something delivered to you like a package. It is something you build with the choices you make every single day. Every decision you take, every habit you repeat, every step you dare to make forward is shaping the years ahead. If you plan nothing, you harvest nothing. If you plan action, effort, and consistency, you will harvest opportunity, growth, and success. Life rewards those who are active participants in their destiny, not passive observers. Think about the difference between people who simply dream and people who create. Dreamers can talk endlessly about what they want, where they hope to be, or what kind of life they imagine for themselves. But without action, Those dreams are fragile smoke that disappears into the air. Creators, on the other hand, take those same dreams and begin the work of bringing them into reality. They don't know all the answers, they don't have perfect plans, but they begin anyway. They understand that the future is not a lottery you win, it is a sculpture you carve. You may not finish it in one day, you may make mistakes along the way, but every strike of the hammer, every cut, every adjustment brings the vision closer to life. There is a saying that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago and the second best time is today. This is exactly how the future works. If you wanted to enjoy shade, you should have planted the tree long ago. But if you didn't, then worrying about the fact that you did nothing yesterday is useless. What matters is what you plant today, because the tree you plant today will provide shade tomorrow. Your life works in the same way. The habits you choose today, the discipline you practice, the risks you take, the knowledge you acquire, all of these are seeds for your future. You can either plant excuses and in the future harvest regret, or you can plant effort and in the future harvest reward. Some people think the future is only for the lucky. They look at successful people and assume they had special opportunities or were born into the right conditions. But if you study carefully, you will see that luck is often the result of preparation meeting opportunity. When you prepare, you create more chances for luck to find you. When you act, you increase the probability of doors opening. The ones who seem lucky are often the ones who spend years quietly creating, preparing, and moving forward when no one was watching. They created their future by laying foundations before anyone else saw the building rise. Another important truth is that small steps matter more than grand promises. Many people delay building their future because they wait for the perfect chance, the perfect resources, the perfect moment. But that moment never comes. Creation begins with whatever you have now, no matter how small. Write the first page, make the first call, learn the first skills, save the first dollar. When you start, the future begins to move. And when you don't start, the future stands still, no matter how much you think about it. The best way to predict your future is not to guess it, not to wish for it, but to begin creating it right now with whatever tools are in your hands. The world will always have uncertainty. No matter how much data we collect, no matter how many experts try to forecast, there will always be surprises. But while you cannot control the entire world, you can control your actions. You can create your own corner of certainty by the consistency of your efforts. When you dedicate yourself to growth, you are telling the future, I am ready. When you keep moving forward despite not knowing every detail, you are telling the future, I will meet you prepared. Creation is power, and it transforms fear into confidence, doubt into action, and uncertainty into opportunity. The most successful and fulfilled people are those who understood early that they had to be the authors of their own story. They refused to let someone else hold the pen. They refused to let fear dictate the next chapter. They may not have known how the story would end, but they knew they would create it one page at a time. You too must decide to stop predicting the future with worry and start creating it with courage. Because in the end, the only reliable way to know what the future holds is to design it with your own hands. Failure and rejection are training, not the end, and the sooner you accept this truth, the freer you will feel in chasing your goals. Most people treat failure like a wall, something that stops them from going further, something that tells them they are not good enough. But in reality, failure is not a wall at all. It is a stepping stone. Every failure carries with it a lesson. And every rejection pushes you in a direction you might not have considered otherwise. The difference between those who give up and those who succeed is not that one faces failure and the other does not. It is that one interprets failure as defeat, while the other interprets it as training. Think about when a child learns how to walk. They fall hundreds of times before they take their first confident step. If falling was the end, no human would ever walk. But falling is part of the process. It strengthens their legs. It teaches them balance. It builds the muscles they need to move forward. Life works the same way. Failure builds your strength, rejection builds your resilience, and every time you fall, you are preparing yourself to stand taller the next time. If you can look at failure as training, then every setback becomes a teacher, not a punishment. When you fail at something, it doesn't mean you are incapable. It means you just discovered one way that doesn't work. Thomas Edison famously said he did not fail thousands of times when inventing the light bulb. He simply found thousands of ways that didn't work. And each one taught him something new. That mindset is powerful because it shows that failure is not about who you are. It is about what you can learn. The rejection you face today may sting, but it also sharpens you, it toughens your spirit, and it forces you to improve. Without rejection, you might stay comfortable. With rejection, you are pushed to grow. So many people give up after hearing no a few times. They think rejection means they are not worthy, but that is never true. Rejection often means not yet, not here, or not this way. It means you must refine your skills, change your approach, or try another path. Imagine if everyone stopped at their first no. The world would have no inventions, no breakthroughs, no art, no progress. The truth is, the greatest achievements of humanity stand on a mountain of failures. The higher the mountain, the greater the view at the top. It is natural to feel pain when you fail. It is natural to feel discouraged when you are rejected. But pain is part of growth, just like muscles ache after exercise. The soreness is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you are becoming stronger. Each failure you survive makes you harder to break. Each rejection you endure makes you more determined. You are being trained, prepared, and refined into someone capable of carrying success when it finally arrives. Success without failure is fragile, but success built on failure is unshakable, because you have already proven that you can withstand setbacks. The key is not to avoid failure, but to use it. Every time you fall, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What can I do better? What mistake did I make? And how can I correct it? If you are honest with yourself, failure will give you more wisdom than success ever could. Success often makes people lazy, but failure wakes them up. Success can make you arrogant, but rejection humbles you and forces you to sharpen your skills. In the long run, failure is often the very reason you succeed. There will be times when it feels unbearable, when every door seems closed, when rejection comes from every direction. In those moments, remember that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is a redirection toward where you truly belong. Many people who were rejected from one opportunity later discovered an even better one waiting for them. If they had quit at the first rejection, they would never have found it. What feels like an ending is often just a detour, a shift in the road that leads you to something greater than what you first imagined. So do not be afraid of failure, and do not let rejection break your spirit. See them as training, as preparation, as the universe sharpening you for the challenges ahead. Every no you face makes the eventual yes more powerful. Every failure you endure builds a foundation for future strength. The end only comes when you stop trying. But as long as you treat failure as a teacher, your story is not over, it is only beginning. Adaptability is more powerful than certainty, and this is the skill that separates those who thrive in changing times from those who collapse under pressure. Many people crave certainty because it feels safe. They want to know exactly what will happen in their career, their business, their relationships, and their future. But the reality of life is that certainty is an illusion. The world changes too quickly, technology evolves too fast, and opportunities rise and fall in ways no one can perfectly predict. Those who cling to certainty often find themselves stuck, unprepared for the unexpected, while those who embrace adaptability move forward with confidence, no matter how the circumstances shift. Think about the times in history when industries transformed, when electricity was introduced. Many businesses that refused to adapt disappeared. When the internet arrived, countless companies that resisted change went bankrupt, while new ones rose from nothing to dominate the world. The difference was not certainty, it was adaptability. The ones who adapted learned new skills, embraced new methods, and stayed flexible enough to take advantage of change rather than fear it. This same principle applies to your life. You cannot stop change, but you can learn how to move with it. And that ability is far more powerful than any certainty you may wish for. Certainty might make you comfortable in the short term, but it also makes you fragile. When you rely on the idea that things will always stay the same, the moment something shifts, you feel lost. Adaptability, on the other hand, makes you strong. It teaches you that no matter what happens, you can adjust, you can learn, you can grow. This mindset gives you confidence because you stop fearing the unknown. Instead, you trust yourself to handle whatever the unknown brings. That self-trust is worth more than any promise of certainty. Adaptability also keeps you curious. It pushes you to keep learning, to keep exploring, to keep updating your knowledge and skills. A person who adapts is never afraid of becoming obsolete because they are always reinventing themselves. They are like water, able to flow into any shape, to fit into any situation, to move around obstacles. When you develop this quality, you stop worrying about whether the future will be kind to you because you know you will be ready to shape yourself into what the future demands. Life will constantly test your ability to adapt. You may lose a job you thought was permanent, face a challenge you never imagined, or find yourself in a situation that forces you to think differently. In those moments, certainty will fail you, but adaptability will carry you forward. You might not have all the answers, but you will have the mindset to figure them out. You might not control the circumstances, but you will control how you respond. This is the essence of adaptability. It does not eliminate difficulty, but it gives you the power to navigate it. The truth is, adaptability is the skill of survivors and innovators. Look at nature. The animals that survive are not always the strongest or the fastest, but the ones that adapt to changing environments. They adjust their behavior, their diet, their strategies, and they endure. Humans are no different. Those who resist change struggle, while those who embrace it create new paths. In your career, in your personal life, in your dreams, adaptability will determine how far you go because it ensures that no matter what happens, you are never stuck in one version of yourself. Adaptability also means being open-minded. It means letting go of the idea that you already know everything, that your way is the only way, or that the world owes you stability. When you are open, you are able to see new possibilities, to listen to new ideas, to pivot when something isn't working. You stop being rigid, and rigidity is the enemy of progress. Many people fail not because they lack talent or effort, but because they refuse to adapt. They were too attached to the old ways, too afraid to try something different, too stubborn to change direction when life demanded it. When you build adaptability, you are building freedom. You are telling yourself that you are not trapped by one plan, one skill, or one path. You have the ability to learn something new, to move in a different direction, to reinvent yourself as many times as needed. That freedom makes you fearless because you no longer need certainty to feel safe. You only need faith in your ability to adapt. With that, every change becomes an opportunity. Every obstacle becomes a challenge to grow, and every unknown becomes an adventure waiting to be explored. The future belongs to the courageous, not the worried. And this is a principle that has been proven over and over throughout history. Worry is natural, fear is natural, but letting worry rule your decisions is the surest way to remain stuck while opportunities pass you by. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is a decision to move forward despite it. Those who build, those who innovate, those who achieve are the ones who understand that fear will always exist, but it does not have to control them. Worry sees obstacles, courage sees possibilities. Worry freezes the body, courage unlocks movement. Worry imagines loss, courage imagines growth. Look at every great achievement that inspires people today. Behind it was someone who dared to take a step when the outcome was uncertain. They didn't wait until everything was safe or guaranteed, because that moment never comes. They acted with courage, knowing that the risk of failure was real, but also knowing that the risk of doing nothing was far worse. This is why the future belongs to the courageous. It rewards those who dare to try, those who refuse to sit in silence, those who are willing to stand up even when their knees are shaking. Courage is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The first time you act despite fear, you feel shaky, uncertain, and exposed. But after you do it, you realize that the fear was not as powerful as you thought. The second time becomes easier. The third time easier still. Eventually, courage becomes part of your character. The people you admire as fearless leaders, innovators, and change makers were not born without fear. They simply trained themselves through repeated acts of courage until facing the unknown became natural to them. If you want to own your future, you must begin practicing courage in small ways every day, because small acts of bravery build the foundation for great ones. Worry, on the other hand, is a thief. He steals time, he steals energy, he steals dreams. He convinces you to wait, to delay, to hold back until everything is certain. But certainty never comes, so you end up waiting forever. Courage is the opposite. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It creates momentum in imperfect ones. It understands that growth happens in motion, not in hesitation. Every time you choose courage over worry, you move closer to the life you want. Every time you let worry win, you drift further from it. The future is always shaped by people who dare to believe in possibilities greater than their fears. Think about the entrepreneurs who started businesses when everyone else thought it was impossible. The scientists who pursued discoveries when others doubted. The individuals who stood up for justice when it was dangerous. They did not have certainty. They had courage. And because of their courage, the world was changed for everyone else. The same is true in your own life. The courage you show may not change the whole world, but it will change your world. It will create opportunities, open doors, and give you a future that worry would have denied you. Courage does not mean recklessness. It does not mean ignoring risks or acting without thought. It means acknowledging the risks and choosing to move forward anyway because you believe the reward is worth it. It is calculated bravery, the ability to face the unknown with preparation and determination. That balance makes courage powerful because it allows you to act wisely but boldly, to see the dangers but still press on toward the possibility of success. One of the greatest gifts of courage is that it inspires others. When you act bravely, you give permission for those around you to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. And suddenly, people who were trapped by worry begin to move as well. Families, teams, communities, even nations are moved forward by the courage of individuals who choose not to let fear win. This is another reason the future belongs to the courageous, because their actions spark momentum not just for themselves, but for everyone they touch. When you look ahead, remind yourself that worry will never build anything, but courage always will. Worry makes you imagine failure, but courage allows you to create success. Worry looks at the storm and says it is too dangerous to leave the house. Courage looks at the same storm and says, I will find a way to sail through it. Your future is waiting, but it will not wait forever. It is not reserved for the ones who spend their life worrying. It is reserved for the ones who choose courage, take action, and build something lasting, even when fear whispers in their ear. So my friends, let me leave you with this. The future is not something to fear, it is something to build. Worry will never carry you forward, but courage, adaptability, persistence, and faith in yourself will. Every single person listening right now has the ability to shape a tomorrow far greater than today. Not by waiting for certainty, not by hoping for luck, but by acting with strength in this very moment. Remember, your failures are not the end, they are your training. Your doubts are not your destiny, they are your challenge. And your fears are not your master, they are the signal that you are standing on the edge of growth. If you want to live a life that inspires others, if you want to create a future that excites you instead of scares you, then stop giving power to worry and start giving power to action. Take one step, then another, and then another. With each step, the fog of fear clears and the path to your dreams becomes visible. The future belongs to those who believe, who adapt, who persist, and who dare to rise when everyone else is frozen by doubt. So don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't worry. The future is yours to shape, and if you dare to embrace it with courage, one day people will look at your life and say, here is someone who didn't just dream about tomorrow, they built it. That is the legacy worth leaving, and that is the future waiting for you right now.